Greed. So much greed. Entitlement. Oh, there's the boss. Hello, I'll be having a coffee.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Is the other one empty?
That's the one I used.
Oh.
I think. No, that's the one I used. A little bit. But JP, welcome. Mrs. Seeds, g'day Tony, is just going to make a coffee. I've told her what you want and it'll be emailed immediately to you. Be careful when you open it, it could be hot. It's amazing though when you think about it. I don't watch a lot of these channels that ask for money, as you all know. But I've flicked around the last couple of days. It's staggering, the amount of greed, plain greed and entitlement. Some do it very subtly, like, oh, if you want to send me some money, and then there's that romantic link, of course, independent phone calls away from, hello, I really like you, I'll send you $1,000. Can you show me your boobies? Oh, cool, I'll make it 1,500. And that's just someone calling Tony. They all make excuses like, oh, I didn't ask for the money. Well, you did. There's a dollar sign on your channel and there's a PayPal link and you name it. There's a link to everything. And they do very subtle sort of dry begging like, oh, hello Scarlett, the car needs a new battery. It's going all right at the moment, but I don't know how long it'll last. You know, that sort of thing. That's true. JP. But of course, being a married man, you obviously don't go. It's just memory for you now. Memories like the sun and the moonlight. And the strippers were oh so tight. But mind you, that's memories that you get to keep. You can't take them away from you, JP. Memories, that's true. But I don't know about you, but I always think that, I know JP's the same, and most of the people in there are the same. If you saw someone in genuine need, you'd help them. And I'm not even talking about just money. Like some old lady struggling on a hot day. You can see she's obviously walking home. G'day, chick. You think, pop the window down. Do you want to lift home, love? Oh, thanks, love. Yeah. There's a lot of giving that doesn't cost money. Even just talking to someone. You know, some old lady in the supermarket always tags me and had a bit of a chat, a bit of a chin wag. I realised a long time ago that for them, that's a big thing. Yeah, your neighbour's your neighbour, chick, you keep it. But I am staggered with the amount of greed and entitlement that you see on YouTube. I'm not going to change it. I'm not going to stop it. I can not like it, but it's terrible to see the gullible people fall into the trap. You know, the norms of the world and people like that who give sort of conditionally. Let's be honest, a lot of giving is conditional. Hello, Ang. It's a case of, well, I'll give you some money, but will you be my friend? Will you call me? Can I call you on Saturday morning? But they don't, but it's usually primarily led from loneliness. And there are a lot of people that live by themselves that do it very comfortably because they're content with what they have. But there are some people who could have everything, but they can't communicate well. They're socially inept. And so online typing allows them to have some sort of, in brackets, relationship, which is not real, but to them it is. Got started planting grass. My neighbour sweeps that sand and crap on my lawn. Obviously she's a Democrat chick. That's what they do. They're grannies, they're spreading the love. You know what I mean? But if you think about corporations like YouTube and Google, they're greedy. You know, when you talk about advertising, I did read somewhere that Google is about 48% of all advertising on the planet, which is staggering. So they're very greedy. And then they make a bit of money at everyone's channel, and they make money out of people that do the, whatever it's called when you donate with the dollar sign, and all sorts of things like that. So they encourage greed. They don't care if people get hurt, sucked in, gullibly or not. They don't care. It's all the bottom line counting, all money. We've made money. But there are some really evil people on YouTube. You know one in the can and the van. And there are plenty of them in real life. You just don't get to see a lot of them. There's a lot of them online, but the ones I probably put at the top of the tree is the ones that are deceptive. You know, they're guile in delivering a story. Yeah, it's one of those things, Scarlett. It's like they offer dollars and they want commitment back as to say, well, you're my friend now, aren't you? I've supported you. Of course, that's a leverage after a period of time. Some people will say, well, Scarlett, you know, you did donate a couple of years ago, but, you know, if you want to continue the relationship, maybe you should dip into your purse again. They don't use those words, but you know what I'm saying. So greed is something, there is no reward, even for the person receiving the money. Usually they're hopeless at money anyway. Yeah, that would be good. That's a good answer. But it's not as if we wouldn't help. It's helping those that need it, which is the discerning factor. Helping those that greed it are not. And there are so many of them. Without being sexist, the truth is most of the sneaky ones are women. And I'm not being sexist. In my little analysis that I've done over the last couple of days, there's a lot of sneaky underlying begging goes on without using the words. Like, well, I don't really need it, but if you want to send it to me, that'd be great. Yeah, I think it's a bit like, in Australia, we've got a word for it, JP, being a show pony, where you give them $10. Your name's up in lights for a brief moment. So it's a show pony moment. Look what I did. And it's irrelevant, really. And I think some of the things I've seen which are disturbing is that a lot of middle to aging men get caught all the time. Look, it's not just men, women get caught as well. Let's put that in perspective. But it does seem like a lot of sneaky female sort of storytelling goes on to beguile people into donating. I've heard some incredible stories. I don't know if they're true, but in regards to someone like Norm, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars.
What is it? You can get it because it looks.
I think it's a killing spider.
Whatever it is, you can go fuck it off.
Actually, I think it's a wood cockroach, one of them native ones. Pity parties, yeah, that's probably a good way of explaining it. There's lots of norms though, JP. You would think it's just Norm if you're on the bottom of YouTube, but some of the research I've done is a lot of middle to aging men. What is it?
Plastic cockroach.
It's a spastic cockroach. And Tony Abbott with his 99-cent donations, but we know it's a game Tony's always played. You can actually understand sometimes how he likes to make the monkey dance.
He doesn't do it anymore.
But he's reformed now. He's gone to the school of Baby Cat and he's now reformed. Like I say, there is no real answer to it because you can't warn everybody. You know, over the years, all of us on some level or not have said to people, be careful, you know, you'll get sucked in here. We've all done that and they get sucked in. It's one of those things that usually a lesson learned turns people away, but only after the lesson's learned. Bought to be Baby Cat, oh dear. That sounds tragic. probably have to go back to the morbidly obese man in a can. And how is he going with no money? Is the begging deepened? Is he asking for care packages now? Maybe sent to a remote, undisclosed location? Hello, kid and cat. No, if the writing was ever on the wall, it is now. I've no doubt he's got a bit of money tucked away. He's that sort of creature. But he's got no one to turn to. If you talk about, let's go back a few years, there's quite a few people he could have turned to. Must be tough being Norm where you think you need to buy your friends, but attention, that's the key word with Norm is attention, Jono. All the donations were only to be an implication to say, look at me. Like I say, with that particular morbid obese, closet gay, shawarma eating, driving a 14,000-year-old can around the United States of America is coming to an end. It has a natural attrition and it's there. You know, if you could write some sort of words that would be stained in history, you could say, the man in the can was always going nowhere, and now he's reached it and achieved his goal of being nowhere and no one forever. There's no legacy other than the stain in the underwear he doesn't wear. And also, I don't know, when you think about the recent video, I would suggest strongly that he is on several watch lists, if not an investigation, if not charges pending. I am an ex-prison officer, worked in the psychology unit, and they are the three traits he showed in that one video: predatory. There's no if or but, which puts him on lists you wouldn't imagine. You really wouldn't imagine that his name will be on lists that he wouldn't even know about. Thank you very much. I have a coffee. There's JP's, there's Kit Kats, there's Scarlett's, and this is mine.
Check.
Look, I mean, you can be cruel if you want to, but I'm always a lateral and logic thinker. But I will say this, I had a recent look at him, he looks 60 years of age. So he's nearly looking double his age. And he's very unwell. The visceral fat on the internal organs of his body are going to squeak shortly and make a noise that he doesn't want to hear. So he's very unhealthy. He's morbidly obese. He suffers from all sorts of things that he tells you about. And then you start thinking about, you know, he does say things like he has headaches and stomach aches and, well, his surroundings alone. If you're going to crap inside a van, you know how COVID-19 travels through the air? We all know that. Well, so does the excrement evaporation, if you like, travel through the air. In fact, in many countries to the day, that's one of the main causes of cholera. So he lives in a petri dish. So he looks really old for his age. He's really incredibly overweight. He's very unhealthy. And yet he's the king of the free world.
And his van breaks down.
The only kingdom he owns is one with white lines at night in car parks. And I've always said he could work from home. He could pick up trolleys and paint lines in a car park at night. That would be working from home. That's COVID safe. But the end indeed is here. Even if there's a bit of a blimp in success and a bit of a donation from here and there, there's basically, no longer drain, wiggling. No, it's the best example is watch your dog. Yeah, dog will go and sniff and think, well, I'll poo there, and it does. But you don't see a dog pile of dog poo 6 feet tall. They don't do it in the same place all the time.
Well, around
And
the same area, but not.
no, and they certainly don't carry a spare Walmart bag with them to clean up.
Cats bury theirs.
Well, yeah, we don't know. Maybe the man in the van, scrapes with his feet and back pedals and backfills with
What
his
I don't understand
hands.
is all the work that was done on that van, why was the mechanics not done on it?
Hello there, mate. There is no maintenance. There's never been any maintenance. It's
Yeah,
not a word that he understands.
But would you not think that you would do mechanics first and then do the
He has
aesthetics?
no aptitude in mechanics at all. I watched that quick video where someone said he'd broken down. And then I heard the words, I was driving along and the car stopped, so I'm getting a new battery. Hello? That's never going to be the case. It's got to be either the rotor, it's got to be the starter, it's got to be some sort of connectivity with electrics. But get a new battery because the car just stopped? It's dumb. But you're right, Kit and Kat, it's a gravitational imbalance. There is no recovery. There could be, like you say, a bounce. Someone throws them a couple of grand or something like that. But if you ever throw money at a problem, all you have is a problem with money. But I'll be honest, in this country, it wouldn't be allowed on the road. It's, as I'm aware, the front end's always been rattling along, so there's all sorts of trouble there. The transmission, when you hear it change, doesn't sound good. And if you look at the vehicle when it's been driving along, it's backside heavy. In other words, the weight is over the back axle too far. So if he loses his new channel, we'll ever hear the words, "I had a nice shower, I feel good about myself." No, I don't think so. Yes. I got the feel. I knew it wasn't Phil. But it's the one thing that because I understand the frailty of human nature, is a lot of people, I won't be one of them, won't miss him, but they'll look for another mark, something similar. Their attention will turn to someone else. I have no doubt if I mentioned a name, but I'm going to ask you to put it in text. Let's say the obese closet gay in a 4,000-year-old van disappears tomorrow. Who would people gravitate to take the piss out of? You got a Kit Kat. And the winner is Kit Kat. Mind you, everyone else will be typing in the same thing, yeah. Because it's a natural sort of flow, you know what I mean? Oh, is that on the movie? Oh, it's cancelled. Oh, what's that over there? Oh, it's Garage Man. Let's go over there. In fact, in many ways, when I heard Bergs years ago say, "I got asthma, I struggle to work," but he can talk for 5 and 6 hours a night. He can drink like a fish, even though he's a diabetic. He is morbidly obese, but he can't work. Is there an anomaly there that I'm missing? Is the reason, I'm a diabetic, can't work? Well, that's not true. I'm an alcoholic. Well, that could be a reason why he can't work. They're very similar patterns when you think about it. You don't see the man in the garage surface till about 5 or 6 at night, if not even later. Why? Because he sleeps all day. Alcoholics are renowned for passing out and sleeping to all hours. It is a waste of time. You don't need, actually, in 5 years' time, if they were still going scarlet, and you went back and looked once, it'd be the same thing that you watched a decade ago. Same crap, different day. Oh, there is. I was just saying that before you got here, VMAC. I looked the last few days, staggered at the amount of sneaky beggars in regards to like having attention for someone, a love interest, a pretend love interest, etc., etc. They're the ones that pull the big dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like someone gets conned into a sort of a relationship. Oh, can we catch up? Can we meet? Oh, I can't. The dog's got cataracts. I need to get removed. You can send a couple of grand. Maybe when the dog's fixed, we could catch up. Yeah, it's sort of an option, I suppose, VMAC, but I think the evidence would be unsurmountable. You go to prison for a while in Australia for arson, particularly when it's fraud, like trying to claim insurance. There's some, without doubt, I mean, we've got to be realistic. There's some hard times coming up for loads of people, for everyone, in regards to standard of living, income, returns on your money if you're an investor, all these sort of things. You know, it's being twisted and turned that those without the wealth will certainly pay the price. Hello, Jojo. McHenry. Yeah. If you really were just sitting back and flick through 50 bottom of YouTube channels and you studied them for a while, you realise there's a pretty similar method in the begging that goes on. Some of it's very subtle, some is very direct. But it's begging and it's greed nonetheless. He lost 90 subs. That must have been his family members, VMAC. But there will come a time where he will no longer be there. I want to brace all of you. You understand that there's a place to go, Washington. Of course, you'll have to stay up really late because most of the time I've ever flicked on to that channel in the past, it doesn't come on until my 2 p.m, so it must be like midnight or after. So you're going to have to set your alarm clocks to stay awake. I think you're right, VMAC. I think it's a bit of a, if that's the case, what it is that they're just, you know, stirring him up on that angle. Coates is doing well. Coates has always done well. Is Coates a little bit gregarious and out there? Yeah. Is he a good kid? I think so. He works, doesn't have to work all the time. It's his life. He's reasonably fit. He works, saves a bit of money. Look, even if his family did give him a bit of money, we do that. It's no big deal. I'm pretty sure that we don't support our children. But when you think about what is he, he's just an average kid, likes to enjoy his life. Yes, the fires are horrific. In fact, all you're doing is copying what we went through, chick, which is horrendous. I think there's 55 Aussies landed there this week in California. Tabagoo. I've been referencing him, but mainly talking about greed in general on the bottom of YouTube. Well, there's one thing guaranteed in these terrible fires in America, not one koala will be lost. That's what I said. Well, I don't know, maybe there's some in the zoos. I'll take that back for a sec. We lost an enormous amount of koalas. It was terrible. Getting a hurricane. I looked briefly at the Atlantic a day ago, Scarlett, and there were 5 systems. 2 were already hurricanes. Do you know what happens? And it happens in Australia, and I'm telling you it's true. There are production companies that are out in California right now. Now, why would they be doing this? Well, companies pay for material like birds because they will add them to upcoming movies. That's been done for decades. There's specific production companies that go out and do that. Believe me, I'm telling you the truth. Yep, it's been done for a very long time. There were crews from the US that went to Banda Aceh in Indonesia after the tsunami. The devastation was terrible. 2004 in Japan. These crews are there. Now, I don't think any worse of them for doing it, because it is, in its own right, spectacular but tragic, obviously. The hurricane is expected to bypass the US. Is headed right here to Nova Scotia. Batten down hatches, VMAC. Put the bikinis on hold.
Buffering.
If it's buffering, I do apologise. It doesn't sound good, chick. We've had family over the last few days. Tonight we are only babysitting 2 puppy dogs. I did make a nice dish though. I made sort of a shepherd's pie, but what I did, there was a bargain of some lamb chops. Probably about 3 or 4 pound of them. So I put them in the oven, slowly roast them till the meat fell off the bone. So it was all flaky and yummy. And I mixed it with some minced beef, or ground beef as you guys call it. I made a shepherd's pie with it. It was delicious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'm missing the text. I have a 60-foot branch on my fence, another on my apple tree. Pretty good, thank you, Jojo. VMAX says the predicting by the path it's on right now, the US media needs to make it as if it would hit the US. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Well, I know what they're going to do in the US. They're going to fly Trump into New York, even though he's not very popular there. He'll go on the top of Trump Tower and he'll wave his hands in the air saying and screaming, it'll just go away. It'll just disappear. So it probably will end up in Nova Scotia. Night, Tony.
Right.
Well, I'll stop making them then, Jojo. I'll delete all my cooking videos. That is about 1,000 videos, so I'll get rid of them. I can't have you not being trim, taut and terrific anymore. Yeah, Nova Scotia, I've read up on some of the unfortunate loss at sea in Canada, and that's one of the big areas because it changes on a dime, comes from fairly nice weather to horrendous weather. And of course, in the years gone by, they didn't have the technology we have today. It's got a big seafaring history, actually. And it gets very cold. I could visit Nova Scotia, but I could never live there. Any news on Tin Can Man? I don't know. It won't be good news for him, I don't think. Weather can be created and controlled. Well, it is true. We actually seed clouds to get rain. We know that. But if everything was contrived, if everything was a conspiracy, there's no point living, really. We're preordained to live in misery for the rest of our lives. Some things just naturally happen. I know that is very hard to believe. I don't know, Jojo. I don't think he could fix anything. The climate is definitely changing. There's no point arguing whether it's man-made or natural. It's irrelevant. We can't control either. If it's man-made, it's being done by deception. If it's done by nature, it's a natural progression. What we have to do is to adapt and learn to live with it, not argue about it. It's pointless. Some things are irrelevant to argue about, like who controls the planet. Well, follow the money. Pretty simple. We change that? Not really. Oh, there goes the missus on a bike. She's going to get a Mars bar. Sound like a group of them, actually. Enjoy your day, VMAC. Have a great day. But I've lived long enough in my country to tell you that things have changed in my lifetime, which I don't think is normal. I do understand that some of the archaeology does indicate change can happen rapidly, but when they use the word rapidly, it's usually over a few hundred years. My country is incredibly hot. And I'm pretty sure America's followed suit this year. I'm pretty sure you'd all say, yeah, it's been a hot summer. And that's in the context of just being uncomfortable. In certain parts of our country, we go without rain for years. We've had a hole in the ozone over Australia and Tasmania in particular for nearly 30 years, Jojo. And if you go to Tasmania, which is way down south, it's an island off Australia, big island, it could be like 24 degrees, but the UV rating is incredibly high. And that's how it is. There are plenty of holes in the ozone. It's like, a lot of people wouldn't take much notice, but Port Authority do, land surveyors do, and that is that the ocean has risen 10 millimetre in 20 years. Doesn't seem much, but that's incredibly fast for the planet's history. I set up a 6-foot closed door against a wheelbarrow, so when my neighbour sits on the steps, she'll be locked. Righto. We have no control over the universe, galaxies, the one that we're in, we have no control. We could have a burst of gamma rays at any moment and the planet would evaporate. Just like in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Poof, gone. They're all realities. But if we lived every day under the threat of, invasion by aliens, massive meteors and asteroids striking the planet, earthquakes ripping the planet. If we lived like that, but no point living. So even though all these things are very possible, I don't wake up every day thinking about them. Fongullo, Bastardo, Chicado. She's Italian, is she? There was a great book I read years ago, Kit Kat, how in the droplet of a water falling from the sky could encompass our whole galaxy, our universe. So are we just a microbe in the big picture of someone's tear duct? Could be. The great shawarma in the sky? Now, chicks, she's only as nasty as you let her be.
Who?
The neighbour from hell. I did receive information. Whether it's true or not, I will pass it on to you, though I don't normally speculate, but this seems factual. I believe the Assyrian community in Chicago, along with its church leaders, a certain group of family members, and child protective services, and a whole list of different people and associations have received a certain video and information. That's all I was told. Now, whether that's true or not, I can't confirm, but based on the reality of that video, I would suggest very strongly that it is true. And if people didn't do it, I'd be surprised. Neighbourhood watch. Like I say, it doesn't all bode well with the obese can man at all. She sweeps the street every day. If one can move through time, you could change this or that somewhere in the universe. You could never return. If you travel at the speed of light, Kit and Kat, and then came back, we'd all be dead. Planet might be just a big green blob. I think you're right, Jojo. I've always had a theory, again based on logic, that you cannot go back in time. But I do believe it's possible to go forward because it's not set in concrete. I'm not a physicist, but the underlying danger of going back in time, like you just said, just one butterfly motion in the wrong direction, and we could all speak in German now. Time is just an illusion. Is that what it says on your mirror? It says on mine, Scarlett. As my drag-ass face looks at me in the morning. What happened? How did I get here? Where's Kit and Kat's time machine? I need it now. Just like the good movie Rocky Horror. Time is fleeting. What about spooky action over distance? Not sure if that's an equation you were referring to, but I haven't heard of that specifically. Kit and Kat. Life is eternal. Well, if I asked you, Scarlett, you exist now, but where were you before you existed? Good question. Not where you go after you die. Where were you before you were what you are now? I don't have it in concrete said as a religion, but I do believe that we're all created and we're all part of something very wonderful. It's an Einstein thought experiment, okay? I shall look at that later. Do know that, you know, the relativity of facts and science are pretty good. They're pretty close. Like, I'm pretty sure it was Darwin and Einstein that came up with the fact that the speed of light can actually bend, which is true. We know that. We know that now. You have past lives. Scarlett, wouldn't it be wonderful to find out what those past lives were, and if you had any money in the bank that's been sitting in there for about 600 years? Can you imagine the interest? G'day, hi, good to see you. Money is it's a thing. It's not the all and be all end of life. Wealth is what I'm discovering. Perth, beautiful weather here, mate. Absolutely beautiful, sunshiny days. Got 33 kilowatts of solar today. Beautiful. Garden's growing good. I think you were part of a discussion I spoke of about a year ago, Scarlett, when I used the words that our DNA is unequivocally undeniable that we get from our ancestors. But I also mentioned we have, I believe, memory DNA. I can't see why it wouldn't be plausible at all. We have physical DNA. Why wouldn't we have memory DNA? To me, it makes a great deal of sense. It explains some of the dreams people have, some of the caricatures that I remember seeing a guy, he was about 30 and his great uncle was 90 something, and he said, "You're the spitting image of your great grandfather and your mannerisms are identical." So that's genetic, of course. But he was virtually saying, well, you've got the same traits as your great grandfather, which is like a memory DNA. And everyone in different families would have a similar story. So it doesn't mean, in that essence, I don't suppose you could say that I'm talking about my past lives. I'm talking about my genetic memory, DNA handed down to me, which I may relive some of the things that happened to many people in my ancestry. But there's a lot of things that religion doesn't even go there. No one in religion would talk about past lives. No one in religion would talk about what happened before you were born. These things are no-nos in most religions because you're not supposed to think like that. You're not supposed to question. You're supposed to read the doctrine and follow it. It's like in the early Middle Ages when people learned to read the Bible. Some of them, and I'm not kidding you, were burnt for doing so. Quick copy paste, entanglement with Einstein referred to as spooky action at a distance. It's a phenomenon by which one particle can affect something about another particle. Yeah? We're getting into the boson theory there. Instantaneously, even if these two particles are separated by a great distance, I'll try and put on an Einstein voice. It appears to go against the idea that nothing, not even information, can travel faster than the speed of light. Doris, get my banana. Higgs boson, yeah. Everyone was panicking about that. I did, look, don't take this as a bashing, Scarlett, but One thing that stood up for me this week, there was an interview that your Reverend President gave, and for some reason, for no apparent reason, but for some reason, he mentioned, we have developed a weapon that's so incredible, it's just incredible, I'm telling you. Now, if I worked for the Pentagon, or I was information-wise to this particular weapon, mentioned it in public, can you imagine what would happen to me? Why, oh why would he say that? If it's top secret. It ain't anymore. The absurdity of it is quite humorous. He did not? Oh, he did. He did, Chick. We have a weapon so powerful, it's secret. It's so powerful, the damn thing is unbelievable. Nah, just stupid, I think, Kitten Cat. If you were the Secretary in the Pentagon and released that information to the public, Kitten Cat, you'd now be in prison. Very simple. Whether it was true or not. You can't carte blanche that answer by saying that, Scarlett, because if you understand what I'm saying, you don't tell your enemies that you've got anything. It's inference, it's suggestive. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant, but saying it is stupid. My dad's got a bigger gun than your dad, I'm telling you. But if you had a choice, all of you, and you know history well enough, where would you go in the world and what would be the year, or roughly the century, that you would like to live in? No future dates are accepted, just the past, because that's a known. Where and what century would you live in? Well, that certainly covers the president. Kitten Cat, vague. I like Sleepy Joe to win and go to sleep. The country will run itself. Okay. Can we wind back the clock? 1554, during the English Renaissance. Not a really good period in England, Scarlett, but as long as you're out in the counties, pretty revolutionary time. You know, talking about, you know what I mean? King Henry VIII and all that. No, it's not Elizabethan, that's definitely Henry VIII time. The Tudors. The 80s were good, the music was good in the 80s, I'll give you that. It wasn't really the Renaissance, it was more Reformation, destruction of the church. Henry was dead by then. The Church of England stayed, though, Scarlett. The division still felt today. Make America stupid for 4 more years. Elizabeth I. I don't know about all those bustles and clothing, layers of clothing you would have to wear, Scarlett, to piss you off no end. Yes, the 80s were a good year. That was 40 years ago now. Staggering, isn't it? How quickly it went. It's pretty tough in Europe at the moment again. Another big outbreaks, more restrictions in the UK. Victoria's done well. They're down to 30 and 40 cases a day now. Lockdown will be lifted shortly. That's the only state that has any trouble, but they've done it tough, 7 weeks now, roughly? Yeah, I don't mind what Jacinta's doing. I think there has to come a time where they're going to have to treat hotspots with the restrictions, but open up a lot more. We've never been closed in my state, but when it comes down to the reality is that the vaccine's not a cure-all. There's not going to be a vaccine to 100% cover people. It's as simple as that. And the quicker they rush it, the worse it will be. Some vaccines take decades to perfect. Getting something out that sort of works, I don't think I'll take it. I don't know how many of you will. If they say, this thing's sort of good, it's going to be all right, it'll help, give me your arm. I'll be going, hang on a sec, mate. What do you mean, sort of? Would the cure be worse than the disease? Well, one of the biggest things that have happened in Victoria is the mandatory mask wearing. A few people refused, a few very minor protests. They all got fined and imprisoned, as it should be. And that's, yep, I think you're right, Hi. Common sense will come into play. Even here, where we don't have it, we social distance. Every shop has different dots, different regulations. Anyone that gets home delivered fast food gets it dropped off. You don't shake hands or talk. That's how it is. Yeah. I think the blasé way that some countries have informed or misinformed their people has cost a lot of lives, there's no question. No, he actually said with a needle, Scarlett, inject in the body. We shan't mince words. I think it's quite funny and silly that people stand up and say you're impinging on my rights, that I have to wear a mask so I don't catch the disease. Whereas they go to the dentist and the dentist and his assistant wear a mask. They have the appendix out. The whole theatre has masks and everything is disinfected. So it's something that we're used to prevent infection. Not just for the patient, but for the doctors as well. These are all standard procedures. You go to a vet and they do an operation. Guess what they wear? That's right, a mask. If every citizen of the US had to wear a mask for 6 to 8 weeks, those 6 to 8 weeks pass very quickly and the numbers come tumbling down. I think what Jojo's referring to, Scarlett, is misinformation can be dangerous. Let's be honest, politicians are not scientists. And do people believe in scientists? Yes, they do. If you take medications of any sort like painkillers or anti-inflammatories or some chemical to help you with a terrible disease, you believe in science. Why would you stop believing in science and listen to a politician? Now, if I get the $2,000, I'll just keep it, Jojo, and buy myself a B-class van. Really old one, though, for $2,000. Geez, it'd be in the wreckers, wouldn't it? It'd have no wheels on it. Windscreens would be pushed out. But we've got to be brutal here. We all believe in science to a certain extent. Why? Because science has brought us forward medically, amazing. So we do believe in the sciences. So for a politician to stand up and say something against the science is foolish, and in some cases, very dangerous. Hang on, Jojo, I'll just confirm that. I'll be back in a sec. Finished, I guess?
Yep.
Right, I'm back now. Just going to redo over that and see what I can see. Let's have a look. Have I caught it? All right, here we go. Got to make sure I can cover you,
What are you doing?
Jojo. So, well, I'm not sure what you. What did you say? 1,000? Right, that's your 1,000. That's a bit more. That covers Scarlet. What the hell? I'll put some in myself. Right, this should cover that. No, I got you covered, Jojo. It's all good. I just went to the glove box. We do have green money. This is one of the hundreds. Green money we have. We don't have all our other money's different colours. Anyway, I'll put that back in the glove box. Petrol's very expensive here. So, the end result of how various countries handle COVID may not matter, at least the data in the end. What will be lasting? How it affect on the economies? Yeah, but there's two things in my eyes, Kit and Kat. One, health is far more important than wealth. If we all go down to Google at the same time, well, we're all in the same boat. As long as we're all there, we'll manage. Real coffee. Yeah, we like coffee. I think it could have been managed better, Kit and Kat. Other words, use the science. If there is a whole district in a certain state that's clear and fine, well, don't close that district. Restrict those people going into hotspots and vice versa. That makes sense. But to do it carte blanche, it affects everybody, and not everybody's equally affected. Like in our country, we have what we call stages, as you do in the US and in Europe. But in Victoria, where there's been a bad outbreak, but now they've all been locked down, they all wear masks, mandatory wearing of masks, and it's come down to next to nothing, which is great. But there are certain parts of that state that are not affected at all, that unfortunately fell under the same restrictions, which was wrong. Yeah, I think one of the things that's got to be weighed up in retrospect, and we're talking probably 5 years from now, is to look back and see how badly some things were managed and how people ignored the issue totally and some went overboard, and there will be a consensus in 5 years' time of how to best deal it when it happens again, because you can be rest assured it will happen again. I know what you're saying, Scarlett, but the truth of the matter is, I'll give you the mathematics. If there's X amount of people, let's say we all live in High Countries area, and there are 10,000 people, and there were 2,000 businesses, and half of them have collapsed. Well, natural attrition means that other people will start up businesses and fill the void. That's how it works. It's very sad for everybody that loses along the way, but if you have a demand, you'll have a supply. It will take time, granted, there'll be things that aren't available. But we'll all see it unfold. But primarily, I've always been angry with people that lead certain countries, and there have been many of them, that put their citizens second to the dollar. That's very callous. If a leader runs a country, he should run it like a father or a mother and take care of the health and safety of the nation first. If the nation is to hit rock bottom economically, so be it. I don't know if she caused the flare-up. I think it was a set of circumstances, but certainly a mystery. Apparently there was a connection to Victoria somewhere along the line, High Country. Haven't heard the factual full story yet. Glass is melted and the trees are okay. Sounds good. Sounds like the trees are pretty tough. Better put the milk money away. Yeah, I don't know how you can maintain a full lockdown though, High. It boils down to risks and balances and obviously good contact tracing, which we have in Australia. Brilliant. KitKat says 5 years, that's when the data can be trusted. All public do so. Body count. Yes, I agree. Yeah, it's a bit of a vagary between capitalism and Marxism. When you think about capitalism in its true sense, it's great if you've got capital. I can hear crickets. It's great if you've got capital. If you haven't got capital, capitalism is not that great. I've heard that said before. Something about Madonna and Jacinta are men. The question I'd ask you again, Chick, if that's the case, for what purpose does it serve? What purpose does it serve of deception that Jacinta is actually a man but dressed as a woman? What's the deception? And how can men give birth to babies? She had one. Or maybe it was a pelican drop-off. See, I know if you say something like that, chick, it's because someone else told you. You haven't met Jacinta, have you? You haven't had afternoon tea with her. Yeah, capital is a lot deeper than that because it's usually associated kit and cat with old money. That's how capital actually gains. If you're one of the very, very rich families of the planet, you're guaranteed every year to earn about 4 to 5% of your capital growth. If you're a working class person, not so much. A good example would to explain the reasons why since 1980 till the year 2020, which is 40 years, where the hell have the wages increased in the US? 18 months ago, it was still $7.50 as the minimum wage, exactly as it was 20 years ago. However, like I say, those with capital have earned 4 to 5% on their wealth every year. Be nice to have a 5% increase in pay every year, wouldn't it? Be brilliant. Minimum wage in America based on 5% would make it about $95 an hour. Yeah, well, the reason why petrol prices are low here because no one's using the stuff. Still about $1 or $1.10, I think you can buy it for here. It's easy to criticise when you're not in their shoes. Who are they and what size shoes are they? Stories, the good, the bad and the ugly. But no, you don't get to wear their socks or shoes. That's how it is. But old money. You see new money. Jeff Bezos, great example of Amazon. Probably the richest man on the planet. But when you think about old money, we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of huge capital, be it land, businesses, money itself. They earn 4 to 5% a year. That's just how it is. Nothing you can do about it, nothing I can do about it. But the working class, middle class, and even upper middle class have been destroyed to be the bottom class. There's only two classes, those that have and those that have not. And if that was the idealism behind capitalism, it's failed miserably. Same as communism, it's failed miserably. But the whole world is turning into oligarchs. Whether you're Russian, US, English, European, if you've got the capital, you get to say what happens. Well, human nature, chick, is that we are giving. When we see something that's broken, we want it fixed. And we can help, even in a small way. We feel like we contribute. Those that have all the money don't care. I mean, if Ireland fell into the ocean and drowned everybody on it, all the rich people would be crying because maybe they had money invested in there. But that's the only reason they cry. That's about the same amount in tax they pay, chick. There are quite a few, but sometimes, Scarlett, when you look into the deep fine print, there's a great tax write-off happening as well. Tax concession, if you like. Works wonderfully. You get to look benevolent and reduce your tax down to nothing. Works out well. Not at all. Greed is not characterised by wealth. Some very poor people are very greedy. What do you mean by failure? There are more people alive on this planet than ever before. Yeah, that destroys the Georgia Guidestones straight away, kit and cut. So if one measures success by the number of warm bodies we churn out, we're doing well. I find do not. Yeah, I think there are too many people on the planet, but I'm not a eugenist. I don't want millions of people killed. That's not my point. I think we should change the way that we produce in line with the sustainability of the planet. It's a big order, though. It's a tall order. But of course, if you all follow the Georgia Guidestones, which go back decades, decades and decades, there's only going to be 550,000 people on the planet. But they failed miserably because there are now over 7 billion. Take the vaccine to get sterilised. Chick, me, Scarlett, and everyone else probably in this room doesn't need to worry about being sterilised. Think about it. No, it won't be sterilisation. I can see, again, I have a very logic process in my mind, that you will be given, just like conscription, there'll be a letter in the mail to High Country saying you're being chosen to produce children. And I'll get a letter in the mail saying you've been chosen not to have children. I know a think tank got together about 10 years ago and they say the planet will have about 11 to 12 billion people on it by about the year 2050, 60. However, that's the tipping point. Then the population will come down. It's a natural attrition through many things, one being disease being prevalent. Give you an idea, if you've got 50 chickens in a shed and they're doing okay, and then you stick in 500, you just need to work out the mathematics, what happens. Mystic, you have email from Jojo.
Okay, I will check it shortly. I'm just doing something.
Yeah, Bill Gates is going to sterilise the planet and all sorts of things like that. But he won't have a chance if the vaccine gets in first, chick, or meteor hits, or invaded by aliens, and Bill Gates goes right down the back by then. And of course, we've got other issues that we could face. Well, most people our age were vaccinated against polio a long time ago, along with measles, whooping cough, etc. 2050. Yep, no, that was the forecast by a think tank, KitKat. Between 2050 and 2060, 11 billion, which is a staggering amount of people. Doesn't mean it's accurate to the billions, but that was the think tank's theory. Oh no, teenagers have always had kids. Let's be honest. I think marriage is going to be a thing of the past, though. Soylent Green, that's an idea, KitKat. Get your hand off me, you dirty ape. Same actor, different movie. Yep, that's right, the old sugar cube. I got chicken pox. The wife says chicken pox twice. The sister's had it 3 times.
We both had it 3 times.
Both three times, I don't know. Well, I'm not that old, but I am 61, but my elder sisters were married at these ages, 14, 15 and 16, and all had babies. Now, was that shocking and scandalous? No, not in the 70s. That was quite normal. Yep. My older sister, she was not quite 14 when she fell pregnant. And I'm telling you, that's fairly standard of the 60s and 70s. We go back a little bit further, in the 18th century, you were sort of looked at when you were 16 as if you weren't married. Oh dear, you're going to be a spinster. Well, it was pretty much accepted that the girls were having babies, and the sort of outcome here was get married. Yeah, I suppose the old words, if you've got to do the right thing, son, that sort of thing. No, I think if you look into your history, chick, that you'll find it was quite common for 14, 15 and 16-year-old girls to have babies. Well, there you go, Scarlett. Some people would maybe frown at that, but I wouldn't. It's what is socially accepted, and in different decades that have passed, things have changed. I travelled Australia starting when I was 13 and did it till I was about 17. But I was a big bloke. I didn't look 13, I looked older. And got paid as a man. YouTube, I don't know what that is you got there, Jojo. When I pressed it, Jojo, it takes me to my analytics. I'm not sure what that's all about. But you'll all work out I earned about $30 a month. That's right. I'm the elite. I'm just kidding. I think definitely in our lifetime the world has definitely changed. It's very politically correct, though I fail that miserably most of the times. It is very much a case of people are wary of each other and don't trust each other. It's not what it was like when I was a kid at all. People don't leave their houses open, windows open, cars unlocked. Well, when I pressed it, Jojo, it took me to my analytics. So I don't know why that happened, but that's what I got. So I don't know what I'm supposed to have seen. I'll press it again, gives me my dashboard of my analytics. That's it. We all lose our mum, sadly. Let me try that link. it says this video is private, so I can't watch it. I'm 0 for 2 at the moment, Jojo.
Tell him if it's a private video, he has to email me.
Yeah, you might be better emailing the video, but you must have it unlisted.
Yeah,
if it's private, no one can look at it.
No. You've got to email it and it's got to be unlisted.
Hear that band playing in the distance. Let's try this one. Oh, Jojo's been to his glove box. It's all funny coloured money, isn't it? But cash talks, Jojo. I have no doubt that saved you thousands. And that's how it works.
My email's playing up. I can't reply to your email, Jojo. I don't know why.
I saw some money out of your glove box, and I said, I have no doubt, because cash talks, that saved you thousands. And that's how it works.
Oh, now maybe I can reply.
There's no doubt even today, cash has leverage. Or the old saying, cash talks, bullshit walks. I don't use escrow. You don't have to bet. Point of conjecture can be held, and then the outcome can be seen. Doesn't have to be money. No, I don't like holding money. Other people's money, I should suggest. Just have the conjecture of the argument, and then the outcome will have a winner and a loser. Winner buys.
Is Jojo still there? I replied to his email.
Your email has been replied to. Punch Bruce Springsteen. No, leave Bruce alone. Come on.
Can I hear that music?
We'll figure out where that is. Don't know.
How?
Don't know. Well, that's a sort of a defeatist statement, chick. If Biden wins, it'd be civil war. Don't you find that a strange statement? What about the reverse?
Man, I better check my emails tomorrow.
No problems, Jojo. Well, see, that's very harsh, Scarlett. Creepy Uncle Joe. I'm sure you wouldn't say that about your worst enemy. Well, I'm still waiting for Hillary to pop up. You suggested that months ago. You do realise that how it works now, if Joe Biden sadly passed away, Kamala Harris will be running for president. You do know, I know how it works in the US. I'm sure you're aware. Are you suggesting that Kamala Harris will also disappear? Because that's the only way that Hillary could run for president. You realise that, don't you? So there is no Hillary running for presidency. Are you going to concede that now? Because Kamala's been nominated. That's how it works. Are you going to concede? No. You clearly said Hillary would be running against Trump. Wait and see, Seeds. I have one of those terrible memories that is very impeccable. She can't get on the ticket. How it works, this is how it works in the US, okay? If Joe Biden fell off a cliff, Kamala Harris would be running for president. She would nominate her running mate. That's how it works in your country. I hate to tell you how to suck egg, but there is no Hillary. Even though you're thrashing this one right to the end, what is there, 45 days to go? Do you think for one moment Kamala Harris would have Hillary Clinton as the vice president? Can you concede that that just wouldn't happen anyway? It's not a possibility. No, that's not how it works. Joe Biden can't bail. He can die. He can't bail. Even if he had ill health, he'd still be running for president. So your Hillary is not going to happen under any circumstance. No, he wouldn't. Unless he was terminally ill, as in dying, wouldn't happen. Biden is Catholic something. Oh, that's good. Is there a new religion called Catholic something? Dementia. Ooh. Creepy and dementia. Ooh. You're not the press secretary, are you, Scarlett? What is that part of Catholic? I don't know which part of Catholic you want to name. Nothing wrong with Catholicism. Henry VIII thought otherwise, but if he didn't want to bang another woman, there'd still be Catholics in the UK. There'd be no Protestants at all. All of England was Catholic. That's when the Reformation took place, of course. Pillaging. It was quite handy actually because there's a lot of gold and wealth held by the monks. And they got taken as well. Yeah, the Catholic Church wouldn't allow the premise that Henry's first wife was betrothed to his elder brother. And nothing happened, but it's a way of Henry trying to get out of it. And Chick's still going, no, it's a special sect of Catholics. I'm not sure what that means, Chick. Pope Francis is one. Well, he is only one, because there can only be one pope at a time. Well, that's not true. One did retire, so there was 2 popes at one time. Catherine of Aragon. Yes, you wouldn't want to be one of the wives of Henry VIII. You had a 3 in 6 chance of being killed. I can't help you out because I'm not sure what you mean, Chick. Knights of Columbus. Well, you still got a sort of separate state in America, Scarlett, haven't you? The English is not completely kicked out of the US. Wild horses. This is music from the 80s. It's like it's on cue, Chick.
Actually, I don't know if that is at the pub. It's got to be open air.
Must be an open air performance of some sort. You're not thinking of Knights Templar. Is that what you're thinking, Chick? Which is a vague reference to something different in Catholicism. But Knights Templar. No, it wasn't Knights Templar. Wasn't any reference into Monty Python by any chance? So, Scarlett, hypothetically, if Joe Biden becomes the next president, what position do you see Barack Obama attaining? Well, there's more than just a few witnesses to that, Scarlett. History tells us thousands. Yeah. Bit of a silly answer. Name the cabinet in the shadow government, Scarlett. Name the cabinet in the shadow government. I think so, Jojo. That would be what I would suggest. He would be a consultant advisor. He won't be in the White House, I don't think at all. I can't see it. But advisor, by all means. Maybe on certain foreign policy. Climate change. You see, where your yin and yang disappears, Scarlett, is that evil and greed is split amongst all people from different religions and different political backgrounds. There is not a universal democratic demigod demon. It covers all sides of the spectrum. So if there is an underlying state beneath the state, we're talking about people from all different parts of political life. So you can't keep labelling it just a democratic demonism. Doesn't make any sense. George Soros supports the Republican Party. Scarlett. But you didn't know that, did you? He supported the Republican Party since Nixon. Bullshit. Really? I didn't know there was a guy called Bullshat, but he'd definitely be one I'll be keeping my eye on. Religion is merely a belief. Not merely, but it is a belief. Humanity and kindness to it. If that were all there was on the planet, I'd accept that without a religion. Scarlett, he donates to all of them. Scarlett, do you know who was one of the biggest donations to the Democratic Party in the 80s and 90s? Do you know, Scarlett, who that was? And in the year 2004, do you know who that person was, Scarlett? One of the biggest donators and fundraisers for the Democratic Party was Donald Trump, Scarlett. Or you couldn't get more current times than right now. You know, if there was some chance, by miracle, that Donald Trump won the next election, I'll be here. And I'll talk to you. And I'll show you my disdain and I'll be unhappy. I'm going to ask you, Scarlett, if Donald Trump is wiped off the map and Biden is swept into power, are you coming back here to talk to me?
For a minute.
Oh, little puppy dogs. Hang on, I've got puppy dog duties.
Well, if I let them down with the door open, they won't come out for a week.
Look who we're babysitting. Yeah. You going to go down for a wee on the grass?
Come on.
See, my wife's got nice puppies.
Come on.
They're going for a walk on the lawn to do doggy business before bedtime. I just thought maybe because you are just so much believing that what you're thinking will happen, if it doesn't, whether you would just drift off into the moonlight. And here's a very good question. No, not misreading you. I was just asking you. I wasn't misreading you. I was asking the question. If Joe Biden is elected the President of the United States, Scarlett, are you going to support your president that runs your country?
Penny, Penny, hey, stop. Don't get it. The grass is cold. Go for it, Mom.
See, I don't get that. When we get an elected politician, state or federal in my country, if I think they're a knob, I'll keep thinking they're a knob till they're kicked out of office. I don't pledge allegiance to the leader of my country. Here's something that you may not understand about Australians. When we elect politicians, we do so for them to do the job correctly. That's it. There is no pedestal, never has been in Australian politics. They fall on their own sword, that's their own doing, and they get booted out. But they're never idolised at all. No, if I think someone's a knob, I'll think they're a knob till they're gone. Because that means I'm true to my belief. Yes, they do. At the moment, they are so divided. I've never seen the United States so divided, racially, socially, monetarily. It's just a nightmare.
Come on. Come on, Penny.
I mean, I've never seen America in such turmoil, ever, over so many issues. Are you saying they're Jesuit priests? Is that what you're saying, chick? I don't hate Donald Trump at all. I think he is hopeless. He is not fit to lead America. That's it. Nothing personal. You know, when you hire a train driver, he's got to know how to drive the train. You know, when you hire a pilot, he's got to know how to fly that plane. Donald Trump does not know how to lead the country. That's my opinion. And I think he's the worst president America has ever seen. And I think in time he will go to prison, along with a lot of other people. The only way he could avoid that is to resign now and have the Vice President pardon him. No, your country was on a roll at the end of the Obama administration. There was no recession. There was plenty of money. On what charges? Many. Some are criminal in regards to investments, dodgy ones. Some will be civil. Some will be crimes against people. Have a good one, Jojo. We'll catch up. I can see the facts on my... Yeah, Scarlett. Look at the stock exchange, where it's gone prior to Trump, and how the trajectory was already in place. The difference is, Scarlett, not many people have investments in the stock exchange. It works out in the US, other than 401 that they're forced into, the funds being managed to be put into investments. Those people that invest in the stock exchange in America are 9% of the country. Yes, John F. Kennedy was Catholic, that's right. Trump didn't make the change. It's like, I just find all these things absurd. Trump didn't do it. Trump hasn't done anything. When you've had a good roll into being the president and you follow through and you have good people making great decisions, i.e. Congress. See, America works different than other political parties, Scarlett. Congress and the Senate dictate the laws. Not all 401, but some are, yeah. But 9% of people directly invest in the stock exchange every day. Most people don't. They just work. And when they lose a lot... Did they go for a wee?
Yeah, they didn't want to.
No,
They
but
did.
a bit tired, I think. Catholic presidents are more controversial than a black president. Well, it's pretty hard to do any sort of comparison, chick, because you've only had one of each. You see where I'm going with that, chick? It's sort of a misnomer, like, okay, we had one Catholic president and one black president. A bit hard to say that either was controversy. Oh, okay. Obama was a woman, wasn't he, Scarlett? That's what you're going to tell me now. I understand. So are you, Scarlett, and so am I. True bloodlines disappeared many, many thousands of years ago. You're biracial like I am, without even knowing it. I'll get you to do a DNA test, and then can come back and tell me how pure you are. The thing I'm making a point of is that we do not hold our leaders of our country or state in any sort of godlike image. They're there to do a job. That's it. That's how Australians think. I am bi-ethnic. Well, that means you're biracial. You can split the words if you like to, but you come from different tribes. Was president. Okay, you're a funny chick. Well, some of the difference. Scarlett, break it down for me. That race and ethnicity are not the same. If you're Vietnamese, that's your race and your ethnicity in one. It's the same. There are only about 5 races. No, I totally disagree with you. In fact, there have been 13 types of humanoids. That's true, I'm not making it up. Oh, you might be talking 5 branches, but each of those branches has interaction as well. Interracial. They're not pure. If you believe in God, there's only one race, Scarlett. One. There is no race. Irregardless of colour, language, creed, country, one. So you can be a black African American, you can be a Vietnamese American, you can be a Cuban American. We could go on for hours there if you like. Same in Australia, but that's their way of describing who they are. I tend to look at all the people in my country as Australian. Not sure why you put it in capital letters. I got it the first time. If a Jesuit wins, right? Well, we're probably going to tootle off in a sec. Good to catch up with all of you. Healthy discussions. Weird, some of them, but healthy. Always a pleasant experience. We're not marked by our differences, but our similarities. They far outweigh our differences. It's very controversial, and nobody speaks of it if a Jesuit wins. Who's running in the presidential election who's a Jesuit? Donald Trump is not a Christian, so can't be him. Joe Biden wouldn't be a Jesuit. So who is the sneaky one coming in from the third angle, chick? Mostly he's creepy and demented. Well, creepy suggests something nefarious, like pedophilia or something like that, or evil. And demented means that he's not of sound mind. Do you have anything to back that up? Joe Biden's a Jesuit? God bless him. If he doesn't get the presidency, maybe he'll get the popehood. Maybe the next Pope, Pope Joe Biden. That sort of works. Pope Joe Biden. I wouldn't ever suggest that Donald Trump is creepy and demented. He's not fit to run the office of president. I don't use cruel and harsh words like that. That's showing a point of view which is really unfair. You have no medical evidence in front of you that he's demented. I'm not sure if you have any messages of creepiness. Would be like fondling a lady's sort of, front bits and treating them derogatory and then marrying someone and having affairs 3 times. Would that be creepy at all? I'm just saying. So using words Usually gives a point of view of an opinion, and a biased one, without being factual. But when you think about someone who's been married 3 times, had affairs, paying off prostitutes, another one today, just goes on and on. Pope Francis is a Jesuit. Popes are not supposed to take praise either. Popes do something which I think is quite wonderful. They find the poorest people in the street each year and they wash their feet. Can't get more humble than that. No, well, you're doing what Mr. Trump says. He says, some people say, you're saying, people say Joe Biden's creepy, which means it's not your point of view, chick. It's hearsay. Someone else said it. But would you suggest the history of Mr. Trump, 3 wives, affairs, paying off all these monies, etc., would that be creepy? If you were married to him, maybe it'd be a bit creepy, you think? Yeah, but it's a humble position being Pope. It's one of those ironies. The Pope is head of one of the most wealthiest countries in the world, but can never spend any of the money. Well, that's probably not the word to use. Maybe the word inappropriate, Scarlett. But if you were married to Mr. Trump and he had an affair on you, paying off other women for certain things, would you not find that creepy? Was that acceptable? Yeah, see, you're very biased. There's no yang with your yin. Apparently Trump can do whatever he like and womanize and cheat on his wife and hold up a Bible even though he's not a Christian, and it's all good. No problems. Yes. When it comes down to all the affairs he had, he was married when he had affairs. Stormy may or may not have been at a wedding, but he certainly was and did cheat on all of his wives, Scarlett. Yes. And one popped up today. This just seems a never-ending list of them. I just don't want a Jesuit president. Well, why not get any choice, chick? Yes, that's probably true. The calm before the stormy. But we are going to go. It's getting a bit late here. And we will catch all of you at a different time and a different place. That's the boss over there. She's saying good night.
Good night.
Puppy dogs are in their beds. They've got special beds. Actually, they've got 2 sets of beds here, haven't they? Well, one's a carrier bed, yeah. Have a good day. And if you're going to bed, sleep well. And we'll meet all of you again, hopefully, somewhere over the rainbow. Skies are blue. That's scary up close, and it's like Big Brother is watching you. Good night.